On the morning of April 13, 1977, an older couple named the McLeods scoured their abandoned farmhouse property west of Toefield, Alberta, in search of any spare parts suitable for their new home. What they never expected to find on that spring morning was a body. Upon opening the lid of their septic tank, they noticed a gray sock floating on the water's surface. Baffled, they looked closer only to find a human leg beneath the water. The couple immediately notified law enforcement. When RCMP officers arrived on the scene, they found human remains 1.8 meters deep in the septic tank. The remains were taken to a medical examiner, where investigators learned the gruesome details of the crime. The end of Sam Doe's life had been a violent one. He had been tied up, possibly to a bed, and repeatedly beaten and burned using cigarettes and butane torches. He had also been sexually mutilated before being shot in both the head and chest. Some sources state that the mutilation was done by farm shears, but it's unclear how this conclusion was reached. After his demise, Sam's killer had rolled him up in a yellow bedsheet before wrapping nylon rope around him. Officers who worked the case reported that it was one of the most vindictive and sadistic crimes they'd ever seen. After being dumped headfirst into the septic tank, Sam's body had been covered with quicklime, presumably to aid decomposition so that the remains would become unidentifiable. However, since there was water already in the tank, only a small degree of superficial burning occurred. A large amount of the body tissue dried out instead, leaving it rather well preserved for investigators. It was believed that he had been in the tank for several months. The mutilation of the body initially made it hard for the medical examiner to determine whether or not Sam was male or female. It was eventually concluded that he was a white male between the ages of 28 and 32. Sam had all of his teeth with some fillings and a sign of recent dental work. He was of medium build with dark hair and was likely right-handed. The color of his eyes is unknown, and he stood between 5'5" and 5'7". Examinations of his bones and teeth revealed that he had suffered some sort of undisclosed illness at the age of 5. As for his clothing, Sam was wearing a dark blue Levi work shirt with snap buttons, a gray t-shirt, blue jeans, gray wool socks, and brown imitation wallaby shoes. With little else to go on, investigators sent Sam's dental records to over 800 dentists in the area, Canadian dental magazines, and nationwide bulletins. However, Sam still remains unidentified. He was ultimately buried in an unmarked pauper's grave in Edmonton Cemetery. 2 years later, in 1979, his body was exhumed. Dr. Clyde Snow, a forensic pathologist, helped to reconstruct the skull and create an image of what Sam might have looked like while alive. Multiple clay models were made of Sam's face over the next few years. This time around, it was also determined that the original medical examiner had got his ethnicity and age wrong. It was instead determined that Sam was around 35 years of age and was Native American. A sample of his DNA was taken, and his image was posted nationwide. But still, authorities were left with no answers. The brutal nature of Sam's murder left residents of Toefield shocked, and they checked their own septic tanks for any remains. Investigators theorized that Sam was perhaps transient, a migrant worker, or otherwise not a long-term resident of Alberta, as he did not match up with any local missing person reports. His clothing suggested that he may have been a construction worker or a farm laborer. Authorities also believed it was likely the culprits knew the area well as they chose the location. Knowing it was abandoned, they likely thought he wouldn't be discovered for a long time. As for the abandoned property itself, there was no evidence Sam was killed there. It's likely the farmhouse was simply a dumping site, since the crime was so violent. Many people believe the attack was personal. Many online sleuths focus on the mutilation part of the violence, proposing that Sam was an unfaithful partner or someone who had committed sexual crimes. It's also been theorized that the mutilation was designed to emasculate Sam. Others believe he was the victim of a hate crime, suggesting that he was gay or killed for being a Native American. However, all of these theories are simply that. There is no evidence to corroborate any of them. One rule out made in Sam's case is that of a man named Edward Joseph Arkand. He went missing from Coleman, Alberta, on June 8, 1975, but has been confirmed to not be this John Doe. In 2017, a new Canadian DNA database was set up. It was hoped that this would finally bring answers in Sam Doe's case, but so far, it has not yielded any. A retired RCMP officer named Ed Lamitz, who helped recover Sam's body, believes the young man will never be identified. He also added that around $1 million Canadian has gone into the case. However, it's important to note that with the help of DNA-based nonprofit organizations and genealogy websites, there are dozens of Does regaining their identity each year. In 2021 alone, we have so far seen around 40 cases of newly identified Does. It is not far-fetched to hope that after 44 years, the same might soon be true for Sam.